Speaking about the Pacific, last week we mentioned on more than one occasion what was going on in Barking Sands in Kauai. More testing. Well, listen, it's past the testing stage, and the story yesterday that came out about North Korea apparently failing with yet another test of a rocket or a missile immediately made me think of Riki Ellison of Missile Defense Advocacy Alliance. I don't even know where to begin. We've got so much to talk to Riki about. But first of all, we have to find out where he is. He's somewhere way over there. Top of the morning to you, Riki. Good morning.
Good morning, buddy. I'm at Colorado Springs at Northcom.
You know what? It sounds
Colorado.
It sounds like you're right here in the studio. It's a great connection. You've been literally on your bike for a long time. Is it my imagination, Riki, or is some of this stuff really front page right now and really needs people to understand what's going on?
Well, it's moving fast. Not only with North Korea's actions, but Russia is getting engaged heavily in Europe and China as well. So this has become a real prominent issue right now as our president leaves office and the new president comes in. It seems to be the issue that people, our enemies or threats to us, are galvanizing on.
It almost doesn't seem to be political anymore. I mean, I know it is, everything is, but the fact of the matter is that right now we're going through some really serious, I guess, self-evaluation of who we are and what our role is in the world. And main thing is to protect ourselves. And isn't that what your stuff does?
Absolutely, but we can't do it by ourselves. So
exactly.
It's a big movement to try to integrate and be interoperable with our allies, to share the burden, share the cost, and really share the deterrent value of deterring these threats from actually happening and changing their calculus. And missile defense does that.
I actually know that you're juggling lava right now. It's like, you're worried about Putin, you're worried about Europe. But let's also talk about, it seems like North Korea is hell-bent on getting their act together. And I don't know if this thing really was a failure or not. It seems like they failed again. But doesn't that mean that they're just going to keep trying until they get it right?
They're going to keep trying. This is their fourth test this year they've tried. This was the Musudan missile. This is intermediate range, so this would not be able to reach Hawaii. It would be able to reach Guam and everything kind of between them and North Korea. So it's an advancement of their technology. We have not been able to counter it. China has not been able to stop them. We're putting missile defense systems in Korea now, and still it's not stopping North Korea's actions.
Okay, now, what about all of the calls we get about Japan? Japan is our greatest ally. They're in that part of the world. I know there's all kinds of things being looked at to increase their ability to defend themselves. But don't they also rely on us, their biggest ally and friend? Albeit many years ago we weren't friends. Aren't we a very important cog in their machine?
Absolutely. They're not allowed to have any offensive capability. They're not allowed to attack anything. They're a defensive force only. So they rely on the offensive capability of the United States to mix and deter both North Korea and China from attacking them. So that nuclear deterrent that we have is what Japan wants. And I think there's question now from Japan whether they need to break from that and create their own nuclear weapons. And I think that's why the president was over there trying to calm them down a little bit, because North Korea is going hard on those nuclear weapons. And we've got to assure we have capability to do that. Japan's our number one ally that gives us the most missile defense capability. They've got 4 Aegis BMD ships, unlike any in the world besides us, that have BMD capability. They have Patriot platforms, I think 16 of them, in their country. So that they are aggressively doing their defensive systems, but that's not enough. We need to work with them and engage them, and we need to be able to have them work with the Koreans, the Republic of Korea, and that's what we're trying to do. And in fact, you'll see an exercise this month in Hawaii, bringing those two countries and our country together, exercising that in PRMF. They're going to be doing that, and that's a significant exercise.
It is sort of hand in hand with the Pacific Games. In other words,
with the RIMPAC?
With RIMPAC. I mean, I don't mean games. I mean a coming together of all these allies. It really makes Hawaii sort of feel like, for a change, where the nucleus is something. I do know that
You are the deterrent for
yeah.
You're for the entire Pacific. You PACOM and Hawaii represent the stability for the entire Pacific and any country that borders the Pacific. It's based right there with you, and you're trying to do it. You're bringing all those countries that have fleets in to Hawaii next month, I believe, for your RIMPAC exercise.
Huge exercises. I don't mean games. I mean exercises. But seriously, it really does. You hear this and you hear that. We're always at the tail getting wagged by the dog. Now it's the other way around. And, right now we have, as you know, our Congressman Mark Takai is elected not to run for re-election. Between him and Tulsi, we had people with military hands-on experience, deployable, that really know the value of this. We hope that his replacement is as committed as he is. And I know that's going to be important for the MDAA as well.
Absolutely, and what you did there last week, that we talked about 2 weeks of testing out of PRMF, you tested against the most complex offensive missile system deployed in the world today by the Chinese, the DF-21. That's an aircraft killer. That's a maneuverable ballistic missile in space and in re-entry. And we tested that at PRMF last week, and we used our best sensors that are in the Pacific to be able to see it, target it, and be able to replicate it so we can test and shoot against it. So we are staying ahead of China. We are staying technologically ahead of the threat in order to deter it. And that is why PRMF is so valuable to the United States and to the world.
I was just together with somebody from Kauai the other day, and they're literally walking around like proud roosters every time something happens there, because they remember back in the early days when it was a lot of failures and not too many successes. Now it's the other way around. They really know what they're doing over there.
But look at this, Mike. You guys have the best missile defense capability in the world. You just tested it. Yeah.
But we don't have it.
And you don't have it. You haven't turned the switch on. I can't comprehend this still, because last 2 weeks ago, Romania and the United States turned on the same site in Romania. It's upset the Russians. It's gone crazy, and we've got all this stuff right there.
Yeah, here's
and you're not turning it on.
The irony of that, Ricky, is that we're doing the testing, it's successful, and then the stuff is being deployed, except here, and it really doesn't make any sense, because aren't we sort of a target based on our ability to do this testing and this developing?
Absolutely, and it's just emergency. I'm not saying put it 24. Put it on emergency capability in case something happens. You can turn it on because you're relying on those GBIs way out in Alaska for one shot.
Yeah,
and they're not 100% reliable yet.
I was going to say, as reliable as they are, if there's no redundancy, there's no guarantee.
Right. I mean, it's there for you. We should be doing this. It's got to be done at some point. We've got to have the courage politically to make that happen.
Well, I'm hoping that our delegation is able to get to Congress.
Both of them are doing great. Tulsi and they've been up there pushing it, and we hope the NDA. There's language in this thing if it gets passed that will address some of this. But it's got PACOM's involved in this, NORTHCOM's involved in this, the President of the United States involved with the National Security Advisor, and it's not. I think everybody's afraid of reaction from China or Russia on this, but this is about defending our people. It's defending 1.4 million people. It's defending them.
Yeah, somebody just asked off the air, and I don't know the answer to this. We've talked about it before, but isn't the deterrent against North Korea in one boomer submarine? And is it that simple?
Well, you can have the deterrent after the effect. Great, have that, but they're going to still fire forward, and there's still going to be nuclear missiles coming across and hitting and killing Americans. Then you can do your boomer. But as we've seen, I don't think anything has been able to stop North Korea.
Yeah, and especially the mindset of this guy. I mean, I don't know. The other day, we've got political footballs being kicked all over the place, excuse the expression, but right now it seems like North Korea is saying, you better pay attention to us. We're not going away. And they certainly are ignoring most of the agreements that they've made in the recent past.
And we're not into a mutual assured destruction theory with North Korea. It's a rogue, small nation country. They're not Russia or China. And for us to let our guard down and say, "Hey, we're not going to shoot you because we're going to have nuclear weapons to shoot you back," that's ridiculous. Yeah. That's putting our entire population at risk when we've got technology that can stop and block that capability. We can block them.
Are you sometimes surprised that China doesn't take a more active role in buttoning this guy up a little bit?
Well, I think it's in China's best interest because it's taken resources that we have and forcing it against a small rogue nation and causing us anxiety and causing us stress in that peninsula. This is, I mean, it's in their best interest, else they would not be allowing it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we either need to ratchet it up to force China to prevent it. But right now, it is within China's best interest that North Korea is playing this way, else it would not be allowed to happen.
I certainly hope that the next step is a more favorable one. Now that this testing has been completed successfully, you keep going to the bank and ask for something that's not working.
We don't need to go to the bank, Mike. It's already paid for. You and I paid $450 million for that Aegis Source site sitting in Kauai today that's got no mission, but two more shots in 2 years. I mean, we already paid for it. It's ridiculous.
By the way, for those that don't know, these missiles, these rockets that you're using, how do we put a price tag on what each individual one? It must be impossible, but they must have some sort of an idea. It's going to take X million for this place and X million for that place, or billion.
You're talking about defensive missiles or offensive missiles? Defensive missiles, but I mean those that are at I think about 7 million apiece that they're using there.
Wow.
The bigger ones in Alaska are way up at around 80 million. So, just the cost comparison on that. But you can't even talk about the cost of missiles, because what's the cost of not having the missiles, and what's the cost of rebuilding Honolulu? Or, you got to think on the other aspect of this thing.
Are there more people getting concerned about this? I know that you've been maintaining a very active website for a long time. It seems like, first of all, your IT people are great. People that go to missile defense and go and search you out to go find that out. But isn't it, to me, it's amazing how many people are talking about this.
It's increasing because of what North Korea is doing, because of what China's doing.
Yeah.
Russia, President Putin has gone all out against it this weekend by coming after, calling out Romania and the United States. And I think there will be some escalatory action by Russia next month when our president goes over there to do the Warsaw NATO conference summit.
Yeah, I know that.
Something's coming up. It's cooking. And the thing, our president doesn't like to confront. He'd rather not talk about it, but it doesn't seem to work that way with the Russians.
He certainly is not respected by Putin. It's clear that Putin does not consider Obama important. But what is important?
I'm just saying he should change tactic and maybe explain why we're doing this and challenge the Russian position publicly. And maybe that'll change their direction, because every time we don't address this thing, strategically message it or publicly address it, he just ramps it up and takes advantage of it.
I don't know why. You're talking about wanting to leave your imprint and leaving a legacy. This president should be thinking about, what do I want people to think of me? How about the final accomplishment, settling the score with Putin and Russia and putting them in their place and making the whole world know it.
Yeah, and I think that's what his legacy wants to be. He's readdressing America's enemies over the years: Vietnam, Cuba, Russia. He's trying to make that overture to it. And I think you're absolutely right. He's got an opportunity in Warsaw next month to address this and to be able to make this world safer. And I think missile defense is one of those tools that he's built more than any other president of the United States. More than any other president. He spent more money than any other United States president on missile defense, including Reagan.
Yeah.
So he's got all his capability, but he's afraed of it, or doesn't want to talk about it, or he doesn't want to throw it out there.
Well, a lot of his detractors here, Ricky, are saying, you can't keep using the word diplomacy forever. Diplomacy solves a lot of stuff, but not the big issues, it seems.
Well, you got to be strong. You got to negotiate with strength, but again, this is his legacy. He's here in Colorado Springs tomorrow for the graduation of the Air Force Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And and we're listening to try and understand what his legacy is. But he certainly, did the memorial service in Washington D.C. earlier this week, and that movement with the military is a real positive from my perspective.
Well, Ricky, one of the good things about this is, of late, there's been a concurrence on another subject. The Papahānaumokuākea Reserve has been expanded. There's a lot of people worried about that, and it just goes to show you that every single legislator in Hawaii sent a letter to the president saying, do not do this. And I think the same thing has to happen from everybody in Hawaii going to their representative and saying, "Hey, listen, you got to make our point in Washington. We're doing all this testing. We need to be
We need to be protected. That's a legitimate.
We're not asking for too much.
You're not asking for anything. All the stuff's there. The missiles are there. The facilities are. Everything is there. You're just asking to turn it on. That's all you're doing.
Well, I hope. I hope.
I'm with you on this fight. I'm going to keep fighting. I'll be with NORCOM. I'm going to fight this thing.
We're counting on it.
Okay.
And speaking about that, and I wait to see what the president has to say, in that speech. But also, let's kill two birds with one stone here for a minute. There's no more. I'm going to Hawaii. Apparently, as you well know, the Pro Bowl has been an important part of our sportsman's gear for years, and it's gone. We just lost it to Orlando.
Yeah, I saw that. And that again, I think you as a Hawaii, you got to address that stadium. That stadium issue that you have with the Aloha Stadium has not been addressed.
Yeah, amen.
That's number one. I mean, if you had a stadium, this wouldn't be happening. I don't believe.
Ricky, as a professional yourself, Super Bowl winner, I know this game is important, and it's always been something that's been pleasurable. But has it lost it? I mean, has it changed based on a lot of the stars not playing when the game is played?
Well, the Pro Bowl is a powder. It's a flag football contest. That is completely lost its appeal, and there's no players going to play hard in that game ever. From now on, they're making too much money, and they don't want to get hurt, and the relevance is in the season. So that's become a real, like I said, a flag football offensive, throw the ball around and don't hurt anybody contest. So it's not that appealing. So you may have a point.
Yeah, maybe they got
wherever it goes.
Yeah, maybe they got to go.
They've really softened that role, but I still think there should be an impetus for you guys to readdress and get a new stadium, whether it's for rugby or for the University of Hawaii.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Rugby league, or you need a new stadium.
We say here the rusty donuts time has come. It's it's a big old rusty donut. We got to get rid of it, build a new one.
Yeah.
Hey, Ricky, thanks as always for joining us. People want to know a little bit more about where you're going, what you're doing. What's the best way to hook up with the website?
Just on my missiledefenseadvocacy.org website would be the best way to do it.
Bless you, my
friend.
And
we're moving around.
All right, my friend.
Around the world.
See you soon.
Hey, aloha.
Aloha. There you go. Ricky Ellison. The man with the plan. I call him Rocket.